Alright, welcome back, people. How have you been? How have you been? Get ready. Get ready because today we have something amazing. Alright, let me prepare everything. We have everything set up here. Perfect. Magnificent. We move this over here and perfect. Magnificent. That's ready. Perfect. Alright. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, once again. Sorry that last week I couldn't stream. Sadly, I had to do a routine check over at the hospital. Something stupid, nothing to worry about, but simply it's part of the daily routine. It's a bit disgusting, I don't know if I should say it, but well, otherwise you'll have the anxiety of not knowing what I was doing last week. Yes, it was an earwax removal process. It's pretty standard in a lot of people. A lot of us are unfortunate enough as to be forced to do that as a routine check every 5 years or so. Well, not the worst condition ever, but it's pretty common. It's more common than what you might think. Especially the use of headphones makes it worse, apparently, which I didn't know. But well, yeah, pretty much. I had to kind of like obstruct my ears for some days, and well, I simply couldn't hear. It's a process that you cannot hear for a week, and I couldn't stream. I couldn't use headphones. I couldn't do anything for a whole week. I didn't know if I had if I was I was not sure if I should. I was not sure if I should say it on the stream, but well, otherwise you would have had the anxiety of not knowing what I was doing. What was I doing last week? But well, ladies and gentlemen, what do we have for today? First of all, Blood Sports TV. I managed to beat Master League 2, and probably during the course of this week, throughout this week, I'll be able to beat Master League 3. We'll see. And then we'll get to the Apocalyptics. Now, what are we gonna do? As you can see from the title of the stream, today we're gonna play a different game, but I want to record the Apocalyptics over when I play Blood Sports TV with my reaction, kind of like Master League 2 and Master League 3. I can record them without my face, without my reaction, without my comments, but in the case of the Apocalyptics, since they are the finale, for Blood Sports TV. It's the highest difficulty of the game. Pretty tough, I must say. I've read that a lot of people simply never reached, could never reach back in the day, back when Blood Sports TV was released back in 2015. Pretty much no one could reach Master League solo. It was kind of like played in a group, kind of like in a group of players. Remember, it has a huge co-op component. Even less Apocalyptics, even less the Apocalyptics. So yeah, pretty much I want to record them perfectly. Right. So the Apocalyptics, we are gonna record them here, so don't worry. I'll upload Master League 2 and Master League 3 to YouTube, and then without my face, without my reaction, without my comments, and then we'll record the Apocalyptics over here. Right. That's out of the way. With that out of the way, let's get to the topic at hand, people. Let's get to the topic at hand. What do we have for today? What do I bring you today? One of the most forgotten, one of the most underrated, one of the most beleaguered one of the most beleaguered um, games in yeah, in the whole history of video games. A game that was hated by the community. This game got completely destroyed in terms of reviews, in terms of critical reception, in terms of the general consensus of its quality, and it was probably one of the most unfair cases. I'll give you a hint here. It's one of the most unfair cases in the history of video games. Plain and simple. One of the worst cases that I remember, if not the worst. The third entry, we're talking about the third entry of a pretty uh, legendary franchise, a cult classic franchise of PC gaming, not the consoles, and probably that's also related to the hate that this game received. So let's get to it without further ado. Let's get to it, because we've got a lot of things to cover before we get to it. But just so you know, this will be the next analysis for the channel. So we begin. We begin, ladies and gentlemen. We begin. DungeonSiege 3. One of the most beleaguered games in terms of game reviews in the history of video games, pretty much. The franchise, DungeonSiege, was a cult classic of PC gaming exclusively, not the consoles. It was a cult classic of PC gaming. It was one of the first games that I ever played on Windows 98. DungeonSiege 1, I completed that game. The second one has a lot of compatibility issues, but I managed to make it run on PC, and I played a bit of it. I couldn't finish it. And then I played this entry on the PS3 and the Xbox 360. It's also available there, as you can on those systems, as you can see here. Now, what's the thing about this game? Anyways, we'll go over the reviews. But just so you know, the case that we're talking about. The general consensus is that everyone, ladies and gentlemen, everyone hated this game. Everyone hated it, or at least the the initial player base of DungeonSiege 1 and 2. I am part of that player base because I played the original back in 1998. In that case, I think I played it in the year exactly 2000 instead, but it's pretty much the same. And I played DungeonSiege 2, and also the PSP entry, Throne of Agony. And I also completed this game on the hardest difficulty on the PS3. Right, what's the thing about this game? This game is drastically different when compared. It's drastically different to DungeonSiege 2, when compared to DungeonSiege 2, when compared to DungeonSiege 1. In those games, you pretty much control a party. And when I say control a party, we are talking about something extremely similar to Baldur's Gate. I hope the Immortal Emperor of Warhammer 40k protects Baldur's Gate, because what Larian is doing is they are just prostituting the franchise. But well, with Baldur's Gate 3, a pile of shit. I know, unpopular opinion, but they have prostituted the franchise by destroying the legendary real-time with post-combat. Well, a pretty similar situation happened here, but contrary to Larian Studios, Obsidian was the studio that developed this game. And contrary to Larian Studios, they have a lot of talent. Contrary to them, and while they changed the gameplay mechanics, while they changed everything, and they made this game similar to a console game, following the influence of another game that I've talked a lot in the integral history of PC game genres that we usually do every year. when we go to the isometric action RPG genre, I'm talking about Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. Ladies and gentlemen, Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, developed by Snowblind Studios, the same developers of the Lord of the Rings War in the North and the Lord of the Rings, Shadow of Middle-earth, that we played on the channel, War in the North. Snowblind Studios created a subgenre, a variation, not a subgenre, a variation of the isometric action RPG genre that Diablo 1, not Diablo 2, Diablo 1 created. Diablo 1 was fundamentally, basically, a pure PC game, in the sense that it was an isometric action RPG, but it used point-and-click mechanics here with the mouse. You would point and click. You all know how Diablo works. Diablo 1 pretty much played pretty similar to Diablo 2, and pretty similar to Diablo 3, in case you played any of the most modern entries of the franchise. Pretty much point-and-click, isometric action RPG, real-time combat, which was the huge innovation that we covered several times. For example, in the first, in the series of Hellgate London, in the first part of the walkthrough, I covered the whole history of how David Brevik went from real-time with post-combat, which was an evolution of turn-based. Now we're going back to turn-based with the prostitution of Larian Studios, when they prostituted the Baldur's Gate franchise, when they prostituted Baldur's Gate some days ago by releasing that pile of shit. The real-time with post-combat. Diablo 1 turned that real-time with post-combat into pure real-time combat. No more post. Fully real-time combat. However, some years, not a lot of years later, I'm doing you kind of like this recap so you have the whole idea of the history of video games surrounding what we're gonna see here. Some years later, in 2001, if my memory serves me right, after Diablo 1, after Diablo 2, which were, as I've said, point-and-click isometric action RPG games, it was released the first non-point-and-click isometric action RPG game. I repeat, the first non-point-and-click isometric action RPG game. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, developed by Snowblind Studios. They also developed other games exclusively for the PS2, Champions of Norath, the sequel, etc. But well, pretty much they created a style. They created a style which later on, during the 7th generation, see the gap of years. Pay attention to the gap of years, please, because Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance was released back in 2001. And then, during the 7th generation, for those of you who don't know, I'm talking about the PS3 and the Xbox 360. For all of you veterans, please try not to call me stupid for repeating this. I'm just trying to include everyone here in terms of the history of video games. During the 7th generation, pay attention at the dates. The dates are always important. 2011, we have DungeonSiege 3. After DungeonSiege 1, after DungeonSiege 2, the talented studio of gas-powered games. Also the creators of the of Supreme Commander, and also Empire Earth 3. I believe they were involved in that one. But pretty much Supreme Commander and DungeonSiege 1 and 2 were there. Yeah, DungeonSiege was 1 and 2 The first one probably was their opus magnus, their best game. But Dungeon Siege 2 also incredibly amazing. The problem is that it has a lot of compatibility issues, but well. Dungeon Siege 1 and 2 used point and click mechanics, but they merged not real time with pause mechanics, similar to Baldur's Gate, but they mixed a bit of Baldur's Gate in the sense that you control a party and each of your members they perform a different role in the combat. In that sense, it's much more similar to an MMORPG, similar to World of Warcraft. But also they combined that aspect of Baldur's Gate, controlling a party and each character playing a role, with the real-time combat action of Diablo 1 or Diablo 2 by that time, which created a perfect marriage of two different philosophies that was amazing, which was incredibly amazing. So for all of you who played Dungeon Siege 1 and 2, you know what I'm talking about. Combine that with a pretty amazing lore building. The Dungeon Siege franchise has an amazing lore building, pretty similar to Diablo, but much more similar, if I had to say, to kind of like the Lord of the Rings, not that much like Diablo. Well, what happened here? Now that we've covered the whole history of the Dungeon Siege franchise and pretty much the non-point and click variation of the isometric action RPG franchise, which began with Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, as I've said, we have Dungeon Siege 3, ladies and gentlemen. What happened with this game? This game, and this is why I've been talking about Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance and how this variation, the non-point and click variation of the isometric action RPG genre, influenced this game. Several years before, as I've said, Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, always pay attention to the dates, 2001, and this game was released back in 2011. So we have a gap of exactly 10 years. We are talking about the 5th generation, the 6th generation, the beginning of the 6th generation at most, and the 7th generation, the ending of the 7th generation, the pretty much the ending of the 7th generation, the PS3 and the Xbox 360. Another game that suffered a pretty similar fate to this one is Sacred 3. Pretty similar fate, with the same number, with the same number, pretty much exactly, because Dungeon Siege 1 and 2 were kind of like their own style, and Sacred 1 and 2 were also their own style, and then Dungeon Siege 3 and Sacred 3, it was part of a process of the 7th generation, which tried to adapt a lot of games from PC to console, which I originally think it was the best idea, but well. Let's get to Dungeon Siege 3. This game was extremely beleaguered, as I said at the beginning, hated by the community. I completed this game and I can assure you it has a lot of quality. It's not true what we're gonna see right now, but pretty much, I also forgot to mention, there's another game that we covered on the channel called Space Siege, which is another spiritual successor to Dungeon Siege, which isn't kind of like a console game, but well, pretty much. You can also watch that one in case you want something a bit more similar to Dungeon Siege without being Dungeon Siege. As I've said, props and kudos to Chris Taylor for creating the Dungeon Siege franchise, but Dungeon Siege 3 was developed by Obsidian. He was just a consultant here. He didn't develop it, and clearly we can see that because of the change in terms of the genre. Pretty much, here you have a synopsis, everything, as we covered. It's pretty much an isometric non-point and click game. This is what I wanted to get to. As I've said, I pretty much gave you an idea of the genre it belongs to. Pretty much the idea that they try to do, they try to adapt a PC franchise to consoles, which is usually a terrible idea. Most games like this are terrible. For example, there are a lot of RTS games, or not RTS, I would say real-time tactics games, RTT games like Warhammer Mark of Chaos, that we analyzed on the channel, here on the channel. Also, there's another one from Sega, Stormrise or something like that. They are all real-time tactics games that there's also Tom Clancy End War, I believe it was the name. That was also a real-time tactics game, not an RTS. Remember the difference that we always talk about. They tried to adapt some real-time tactics games to consoles, and it was a disaster. However, the case of DungeonSiege, as I've said, if I hadn't completed this game back in the day on the PS3, I would have probably thought that it was the same case as Sacred 3, as Warhammer Mark of Chaos, as Tom Clancy End War, terrible console adaptations of fundamentally PC games that should have been PC exclusives. Right. But the case of DungeonSiege is the one case I disagree with the general consensus. I disagree with this case. Of course, I would have loved a third DungeonSiege game following the mechanics of the first two, or even so, following the traditional isometric action RPG point and click gameplay like Space Siege, like what they tried with Space Siege, which is actually DungeonSiege 3. I played the game complete. I completed the game, as I've said. We streamed it, we showcased it. As much as I would have liked that, this game, I must say that I disagree with all of these qualifications. I played this game a long time ago, so I want to analyze it again. But pretty much I can remember that the quality of the game was pretty high. You'll see that a lot of people hate this game. A lot of people complain about the controls of this game. This game is played with a joystick, which is a huge difference when compared to the previous two, as I've been saying. But pretty much, well, here Eurogamer gave it an 8 out of 10. This is a bit more realistic, but it's not a 7 out of 10 for at least. Well, we'll see once we get there, because I want to reanalyze it once again. But I can tell you that because of the sheer amount of content and solid gameplay mechanics, I can predict that this won't be that I'm not bringing you a terrible game, pretty much. That I'm bringing you a good game that certainly deserves our attention. Now, what do we have here? Mixed reviews, mixed 2011, Obsidian developed it, published by Square Enix. Square Enix pretty much purchased the license from, ignore that, that's my shitty countries, my shithole countries, a shitty currency, ignore that. Pretty much, the game is cheap. Pretty much, if the change is that the game is pretty cheap on Steam, you can still get it. As you can see, you can get the Treasures of the Sun DLC, which pretty much adds some levels. But as you can see here, look at this review. Pay attention to this first review. I'll read it anyways, in case it's way too small for you, but I bet you can read it. Remember the fun times you had playing DungeonSiege 1 and 2? Yeah, this is not either of those two games, not even close. As you can see, he's not addressing the quality of the game. He's just addressing the fact that the game is not... I can understand him, because this happened to me with Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, and now Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3, it's a prostitution of the franchise. They changed the combat system, but in the case of Dungeon Siege, they didn't change the combat system, because the combat system was real time in Dungeon Siege 1 and 2. They changed the controls, but the combat system is still real time. There's a difference in those two comparisons. In the case of Baldur's Gate 2 and Baldur's Gate 3 and Baldur's Gate 1, my favorite is Baldur's Gate 1, Larian pretty much prostituted the franchise because they changed real time with post combat, and they implemented fully turn-based combat, which is kind of like going backwards. Because in case you didn't know, real time with pause, Baldur's Gate pretty much improved the slow and unrealistic turn-based board game gameplay system of RPGs back in the 90s in terms of PC games. So, well, that's another debate. I don't want to get to that debate when we're talking about Dungeon Siege. Played for almost an hour, had absolutely no desire to continue. The combat system has a completely different style, but it's still real time. This is what I want to specifically highlight. The gameplay, the combat system is still real time, just like in Dungeon Siege 1 and Dungeon Siege 2. The difference is that you only control one character. It's a bit more similar to Diablo 3. But that's not the problem. The problem is that the worst combat system, similar gameplay style, clunky, slow, no feedback, incredibly basic, and then combines it to no difficulty at all. That's not true. You'll see that the game is difficulty. This is shit. One of the biggest issues with it is the story. Well, this one is talking about the story. Ludicrous save system. To carry where you left off. Yeah, that's true. It's difficult because you have to reload a lot of time. But this, blah blah blah, but a long time ago. I perma-deleted, hard to play because view angles suck, blah 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 blah. Well, you'll see. If I could beat the game back during the PS3 at 30 FPS, I bet I can do it now at 60. Or even more because it has unlocked frame rates. I really wanted to love it because the first two games, but they said to change literally everything that made it enjoyable. Yeah, it's true. It's true. We could have gotten a third Dungeon Siege game properly done, but the game's not bad. The game's not bad. You'll see. You'll see. You'll see. You'll see. I think I'll prove my point as we play. You'll see. Here's a more fair review. Here at Metacritic, of course, the Gaming Press, they usually tell you what you want to hear. I don't know. They have no idea. As you can see here, the user score is, I don't think you can see it because I'm abstracting it. I bet you can see the other one, 72. But the user score is 4.7, which is a bit more reliable than the press. But in this case, sorry to tell you, but it doesn't reflect reality. Maybe this one, look at that. This one is from 2023. A 7, it's a bit more realistic. All things considered. Well, this 10, it's of course they usually do this to compensate. Of course it's not a 10. But we'll see. You'll see if what I'm telling you is that the game doesn't deserve a 4 out of 10. You'll see. I'm not here to defend the game, but if I remember it as good as I remember it, you'll see that the gameplay mechanics are worth exploring. Oof, so much rage. Well, here it goes. I have never been a fan, but I honestly can see the flaws. Comparison to previous entry, they weren't exactly challenging. Blah 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 blah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, so ladies and gentlemen, we have a portion of the player base telling us that this game is shit. You have another portion of the player base, me included, saying that the game was not treated fairly. It was not treated fairly. So these are the cases that we love to explore on the channel here on the channel. mixed reviews. A portion of the player base, as I've said, saying that it's shit. Another portion saying it was not fair, it wasn't fairly treated. We have those two. We have a change of genre, as we said. We have the two previous entries, the three previous entries actually, because they all forget about Space Siege here that we covered on previously on the channel. And yes, it changed the gameplay style. I wouldn't say it changed the genre. So I have it here. As you can see, I did a custom cover for it, of course. I played the game once completely back during the PS3 era, so we'll do a cold boot, as I always say. The first time we'll do a cold boot, then next in the future, in part 2, part 3, and the rest of the parts of the analysis, we will begin streaming with the game running, so I don't make you waste your time. I'll just do a little recap as we usually do. I'll play with an Xbox One X joystick from 2017, my trusty joystick. I don't like the new Xbox controller. I'd rather have this one, as you can see, 2011. And here I want to show you before we begin. Let me move the cursor here. We have Treasures of the Sun, the DLC. Burning Code, these are items, but the rest are items. But this is Treasures of the Sun DLC. I need to investigate this because they are kind of like some extra levels. They are some extra levels. As I've said, a game that is completely hated by the community, but trust me, as you can see, we'll play on hardcore difficulty, of course. Sorry, I cannot play a game if I don't play it on the hardest difficulties. Sorry. I'd rather die several times than play an easy game. Of course, always remove vertical sync. That's crap. Also remove any, if you can, don't use any. The other one, the pile of crap that they use right now. Temporal anti-aliasing, never. Strip it from the game, and also remove the dynamic resolution, any kind of dynamic resolution. Fortunately, in this era, back in the 7th generation dynamic resolution, that pile of crap wasn't a thing. And as you can see, everything else it's on high. Something that I wanted to address. The game has unlocked frame rates, but for the sake of the stream, because YouTube can only accept 60 FPS, while I'll have it at 144, since I have a second screen, I think it will default to 60. I'll tell you. I think I'll have here. I'll ensure that you don't see it, so it doesn't bother you. Anyways. It's my own monitor. My monitor can register frame rate, so I'll tell you the frame rate. I don't know if you can see it. I think you cannot see it, but I'll be playing at 144 refresh rate. The game has unlocked resolutions and frame rate. So in terms of that, it's amazing. As you can see, it looks amazing. You'll see that the graphics are pretty good, everything. So the huge mystery here is if the gameplay is good. The core of the matter. Because there was a change, as you could see, from DungeonSiege 1 and DungeonSiege 2. And also Space Siege. There was a huge change. This one wasn't developed by Chris Taylor. This one was developed by Obsidian, but they are pretty talented. Contrary to Larian Studios. They are pretty talented.
Exiles from a dying empire who founded the kingdom of Ebb. For 400 years, we guided and protected our people. We gave them peace, prosperity, fair judgment. Some say it was the death of the old king that turned the people against us. But it was Jane Cassinder who took up the sword and drove us from our chapterhouses and estates. I was not there for the final battle, when the last of years have passed since the Legion was destroyed, and Ebb has suffered in that time. War rages without end between Jane Cassinder in the east and the royal family in the west. A few sons and daughters of the Legion remain. You are one of their number.
Don't worry, in case you don't like subtitles. I also don't like them. It was just for the cinematic. You'll see that the game doesn't have, or at least it has them. It doesn't have subtitles. Well, as you can see, with the right stick, I'm moving this. In case you're wondering, because the controls are kind of like the problem that everyone addressed to this game. Last time I played with this character, with the knight. Last time 10 years ago. So there was a mage that I wanted to try. This guy, Reinhardt Manx. Reinhardt. We also have Katarina. Don't worry, anyways, if you choose one, kind of like the others are pretty much the others are pretty much kind of like your companions. If you choose one, also the story is kind of like slightly altered. So last time I played with the son of Huge Montbarron, the descendant, pretty much of the Grandmaster. This character. If you play with this character, be careful because it will be harder. I believe because I remember it being extremely hard because it's all melee. It's all melee. So this time, this one is kind of like also melee, I believe, because it has a melee weapon there. So the ones that I want to try are either Katarina or Reinhardt Manx. And I will try Reinhardt Manx because I remember that 10 years ago I wanted to play with this character because he's a descendant from the original character of the series. I don't remember the name. The original mage that you play in the first game, the legendary mage in Act 3 that I think it was Frozen, something like that, I faintly remember. As you can see, the lore and the world building of DungeonSiege certainly deserved better, so Square Enix has a franchise that certainly deserved better. Reinhardt Manx is descended from a long line of Legion mages. As I've said in the first one, you can play with the original, the first descendant. Once you free him, he has spent most of his life at the Collegium. He reminds me of me, all of my life reading books. In the city of Stonebridge, that's why now I play games. In the city of Stonebridge, immersed in the study and practice of magic. Reinhardt is known for his unconventional thinking and innovative magical techniques. A scholar of arcane magic, Reinhardt warps the forces of creation and destruction to his will. His entropic magic can blast a wide area with life-extinguishing force, though it leaves him open to attack. It is perfect for destroying crowds of enemies as long as he keeps them at distance. This is what I wanted to find. I think this will make our life easier. I've already completed the game on hardcore with the warrior 10 years ago, so this time we'll do it with the mage. And I think it will be a bit more bearable for you, so I don't die 1,000 times, because the save system in this game kind of like sends you back. I never played with this character. If it's worse than the knight, we'll go back to the other one that I know how to play with him. His dynamic magic is channeled through an arcane gauntlet and a capacitor. It creates deadly currents of energy with a mere motion of his hand, allowing Reinhardt to quickly incapacitate a single target at close range. Perfect. So we have long range and close range. So Reinhardt, we are going mage this time. Feel free to, if you choose the game, to play with any other one and read the full description. As you can see, they are pretty complete. The other one that I wanted to try was Katarina, because I had her as a companion. If you choose this one, you'll have Katarina as a companion. Since we chose this one, we'll have Anjali probably as a companion. So it's pretty much like that. So let's see. Let's go with Reinhardt. I can report you, of course, hardcore. You have 3 difficulties. Ignore. I'll go straight for hardcore. For skilled gamers, when the chance again, the pulse no punch. Warning. Not recommended for the faint of heart or those prone to throwing controllers. Take this seriously because the game is hard. So, well, anyways, you'll have me suffering for you.
I write to you, my young friend, with urgent news. I know your life in Stonebridge has not been easy. Ever since Jane Cassinder murdered your parents and all the other legionnaires in the city. But you've made a place for yourself at the Collegium. I'm told that you've already earned the rank of professor in the Department of Magic. I am happy for you, but not surprised.
Merrick, that one.
You are descended from the Grand Mage Merrick, and magic runs strong in your family. As the last survivor of the Legion, I've tried my best to keep your heritage a secret, especially from Jane Cassinder. But her spies are persistent, and I fear that they may be getting close. We cannot delay any longer. We still have a chance to join together, rebuild the Legion, and take our country back from Jane Cassinder before it's too late. The sons and daughters of the Legion are gathering in the north, at the old Montbarron estate. I urge you to join us in the Valley of Rukenval as quickly as you can. Help us restore all that was lost. Your faithful friend, Odo.
Introduction, Treasures of the Sun. I also didn't play this back in the day. Almost no one played this back in the day. They kind of like chopped. It was a pretty disgusting tactic practice from gaming companies back in the day. Square Enix pretty much forced this on Obsidian. It was pretty disgusting. They chopped the final 5 levels of the game from it. And I couldn't play them. And I need to pay attention because here I think if you kind of like go beyond a certain point, you cannot play it. It's the Treasures of the Sun DLC or expansion, I don't know, which adds some levels. I never played it back in the day, as I've said, almost no one played this, so we'll also, as a bonus, we'll play this extra forgotten content. Don't worry, I'll highlight it. I'll highlight the stream over at YouTube, which includes this. Welcome to the downloadable content pack, Treasures of the Sun. You can start the downloadable content at the Grand Chapterhouse in Stonebridge, okay? After you have reclaimed the Chapterhouse for the Legion. Alright, that's at the beginning of the game, if I'm not mistaken. Talk to Oswald. So we need to look for Oswald eventually. As soon as this is available, we need to do it. I think it's level 15 or something. Who will be waiting for you in the entrance hall. Okay. If I remember correctly, that's the base of the Legion. You will find an alternative entrance to the DLC in the Causeway Hub after you have completed the Spire. If you have already passed that point in the game, you can return to the Causeway Hub by loading endgame autosave from your save game list. I remember reading that you could miss it. Important. Wait. Watch for the blue exclamation mark, which indicates the starting point for the DLC questline. This DLC also introduces some new gameplay features to DungeonSiege 3. You now have the ability to enchant your weapons. I didn't know that was possible. I don't remember doing that in the original game. Armor. See how disgusting DLC policies were back in the 7th generation, if there was something disgusting about that amazing generation with the Nintendo Wii, with Metroid Prime 3, with everything, was this. They kind of like stripped the ability to enchant weapons from this game without the DLC. Weapons, armor, and other items by using essences, which can be found in the world generating by transmuting. You're right. So the version that I played 10 years ago was not complete. You couldn't enchant weapons. That should make our life easier. So I think the version I originally played was even worse because you couldn't enchant. Find out more about enchanting by selecting Enchanting Overview from the Help from the help topics, I assume it doesn't use internet to any. It doesn't connect to any Square Enix server from 10 years ago because that's probably those have been probably shut down. So let's hope it doesn't use internet to consult the game guide. I don't think so. Back in the day, we weren't that stupid. You can also re-specialize your character, I also didn't know this, and choose a different set of abilities, proficiencies, and talents. This can be done at the at the Respect Pool Abbey at Saint Hiram in the new Aranoid Desert region. Alright, new region. You can find out more about Respect by prayer specialization in the help top. Finally, you will now have access to 3 ultimate abilities. Oh my god, the game was not fucking complete without the DLC. God damn it, Square Enix, what have you done? Poor Obsidian. They were told that their game was shit when you forced this because you published the game and they developed it. It's always like that. You will now have access to 3 ultimate abilities which can be unlocked in the Aranoid Desert. To find out more about those abilities, the ultimate ability. God, I mean, the game is not fucking complete without the Treasures of the Sun DLC. God damn it, god damn it. Ah well. He said, Oswald entrance. If you fuck up and you, which we won't fuck up because we will pay attention to that. You can go through Castaway Hub. Well, whatever. All right, here we are. Is this the close or the? Is this the close or the far camera? Close. This is the close camera. This is the close camera. I remember, of course, we're not gonna play like this because it's a disadvantage. We're gonna play like this. And as you can see, it's played with a joystick. It's played with a joystick. This is what everyone hated about this game. I can confirm you it has unlocked frame rates. I'll take this. I'll remove this because it's bothering me. It has unlocked frame rates. It has unlocked frame rates, 144. Unlock resolutions, so you can play this at 4K, 144. A technical marvel from Obsidian. You can move the camera a bit like this, but not a lot. And the controls, I think Alright, now I remember. No, but this is not the basic attack. What the fuck am I doing? Yeah, I remember. One is the close attack and the other one is the long range attack. I don't know what that may be. So here you have it, people. You're gonna be this guy. Reinhardt. Is an old... His story, it's a bit... The introduction... There you go. Use right stick to rotate the camera and... to tool bit and... Yeah, and press right stick to... There. He uses the Xbox 360 and Nintendo. Let's see. Ah, yeah, perfect. Help topics. I think the normal attack is like this. Ah, yeah, now I remember. Yeah, now I remember. It's with A, in case you're wondering. It's with A. I don't think if you can see it, if my hand... With A, and then you have the special attack with X. I think I changed the controls before beginning. Well, new objective, look for survivors. So that's the long range attack, what we'll be using most of the time. By pressing RB, yep. And this should be the close range attack. Perfect. This is what we'll try to avoid using. The game, you could roll here. You could roll. How do I roll? I remember that you could roll with a warrior at least. I hope I can roll with this one. I should stop wasting my mana like an idiot, but well. So here, RB. This man appears to be a descendant of the Legion. He lies dead with a massive sword wound across his chest. Pretty much. Several arrows protrude from this young man's back. He must have taken them by surprise or was killed as he fled. This man must have been a descendant of the old Legion. He has been multiple stab wounds. In case you're wondering what what the fuck the Legion is, it dates back to the first game. The Legion is pretty much the military armed force of the Kingdom of Ebb, if I remember correctly from the first game, and they are sworn protectors of the kingdom. And we are part of that line of descendants. I need to be careful because I remember that the beginning of this game was especially hard because of balancing issues. Hey, the joystick vibrates at least. Hey, pretty good. Yeah, that's a pretty amazing fire animation for 2011. Of course, as I always say, remember that back in 2011, most of us pretty much played this on an LCD screen of 32 inches, 1080p, in the couch in your living room. Not like this. I'm kind of like playing centimeters away from the screen, only one arm, which is the standard. Always do that unless you want to damage your sight. And we are playing it at higher resolutions on PC, so we'll be able to do an in-depth analysis of the graphics. This seems to be a half-finished letter written in Odo's hand. Parts are obscured by dirt and ash, and you can only make out a few lines. If my first letter did not reach you, then I urge you to join us in the Valley of Rukenball. Most of the others are already here. We number almost 40 in all. Remember, the Legion has been almost... His mind there's several gunshot wounds. The bullets tore straight through his arm. Okay. This man appears to have died from a gunshot wound. He was probably another descendant of the Legion. As you can see, there were only 40, and most of them died here because of the evil Jane Cassandra witch. Some address of the word contain loot. Press RB to reveal their contents. Does this remind you of anything? Select whip and then, or just press. So you can do this. Go equip. Weapon, and see, you can see the weapon around on top of the screen. The list of items. Press A to move your cursor to the item lane, where you can use the weapon slot. And the different statistics between your enemies is shown in the box to the left. Yeah. Does this remind you of anything? It's a different orb. Does this remind you of anything? These are the DLC, probably. Yeah, I better use this because I remember that the game was extremely unbalanced at the beginning. Sacred Heart of the... Anyways, you can do it. Don't worry. But just in case. Attack, stamina, warding. No, in this case, the base. Talisman of the Grand Mage. Yeah, but the armor. Yeah, I remember that enemies hit pretty hard at the beginning, especially on hardcore. Pretty much. Hey, now it's a cube. Now we have a cube. Did it change the color of the attack? No, I don't think so. Well, whatever. Okay. Well, pretty much. The story so far. The Legendary Legion from the first game. As you can see, we have a lot of range. The problem is that they'll get closer to us. As soon as I remember how to roll, this should be a bit easier. Not enough focus. Instead of mana, they decided to call it focus. This? Like this? You could roll like... this one doesn't roll. This one kind of like teleports. Now I remember. Alright, see. Muscle memory is pretty good even 10 years later. Alright, so we can teleport. Yeah, I remember that I had to pick this character. I think this is the only one that can do this. Anyways, it's kind of like a roll, but with a different animation. But whatever. I wonder if they can hit me. Alright, first battle. The Legion, they are the sworn and legendary defenders of the Kingdom of Ebb. Jane Cassandra has exterminated everything. Pretty good. A ring will appear underneath your target. The coloring indicates their health. It will shift from until they are dead. Yeah, I remember. You'll see. You'll see, pretty standard. Does it remind you of anything? Doesn't this game remind you of a game from the Xbox 360? I bet it does. Inductor of Resolve. This man is dead. What the? You must have been one of those young wards. Yeah, pretty much as you can see, there were only 40 of us, of the Legion. The rest are all dead. Hold LT with an enemy. But drains focus. Drains focus? What? I know. Blocking. This is kind of like blocking. This will prevent attack. No, the idea is to dodge. Trust me. Don't try. Don't try that. Don't try that in this game. Don't try blocking. Don't try blocking. Don't try blocking. I need to change this one. There we go. I need to relearn to switch between stances. Pretty much what we'll do most of the time. It's this. It's this. And then to finish off the ones that survive. Those orbs restore health. Well, it wasn't that difficult with this character as I remember it. Probably I picked a shitty character last time. Or they're just the DLC items. It could be. Alright, we have a melee attack. In case you don't know, they pretty much deal the same damage. So this is... yeah, the problem with this is that... ah, yeah, but we have one last... look at that, we have one last attack that covers a bit more of terrain, we'll see. Yeah, the problem is that they get way too close and...
I was afraid everyone else was dead. Are you alright?
were you expecting this?
But you seem familiar. Have we met before? Yes. I met you in Stonebridge when you were a boy. Odo sent me there to keep an eye on you and make sure you were safe. My name is Martin Giscard, and I'm a friend of Odo's, and a son of the Legion like you.
Does it remind you of anything, people? When you are playing the gameplay mechanics, it's pretty much Diablo 3. It's pretty much Diablo 3. And when you do this, it's like a BioWare game. It's like Fallout. You can see Obsidian's hand here. It's like Fallout New Vegas. It's like Knights of the Old Republic, like Dragon Age, like Mass Effect. So here you can see that the game has a lot of surprises. You usually don't see this in traditional isometric action RPG games. Think about Titan Quest, think about Diablo. By the way, Titan Quest 2 was announced, great news. And it will be developed by the original developers, by Crate, who developed Grim Dawn, which is in turn the original spiritual successor of Titan Quest. Amazing game. Amazing game. I'm happy that THQ gave back the allowed Crate to do it, to do Titan Quest 2. Now, as you can see, here we can see the huge influence of Mass Effect, especially during the 7th generation. Here you can see that they included dialogue lines in an isometric action RPG game. Nowadays, this is seen as weird. Think about Diablo 4. Does Diablo 4 does it have this? No, doesn't have it. It doesn't. Simply doesn't have it. Good. Okay. What happened here we know because we read those things. We read the letter. Where's
I didn't
Odo?
see Odo upstairs. Could he still be alive? I hope so. If he did get out, maybe some of the others are with him. Damn, they found us again. We can't wait any longer. I've set a trap. 3 kegs of gunpowder on the bridge below. Thought I'd cover my escape if they found me. All we need to do is light the fuses. Come on, to the bridge.
Yes, the game is fully voiced. Yeah, pretty much. I think we'll only use the first attack of that. You'll see once with the gameplay mechanics. Once the gameplay mechanics develop, you'll see what I mean. Ta 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 ta. Yeah, at least it's better than Montbarron's sword, if I remember correctly. So, as you can see, the game has received an influence, or it inherited the influence of a lot of other games.
Go on, light the fuses.
As you can see, that can tell you how rich. That can tell you how rich the 7th generation was, pretty much, in terms of innovation and gameplay mechanics. Pretty amazing fire, by the way.
Hurry.
Good. Hey, what happens if I keep going without? Do I get something here? That could be a problem, because we kind of like... I don't know, that must be the gunpowder keg. Uh-huh. And the path is blocked, of course. What a weird way to roll.
And the last.
They're all ready. So in terms of the... It has amazing world building, it has amazing graphics, unlocked frame rates back in 2011, it has amazing lore.
Montbarron estate burned, and with it my dream of a reborn 10th Legion. Or so I thought. I did not know that you and Martin Guiscard had escaped the destruction. As you fled into the night, you bore with you the future of the Legion. Pursued by enemies, fleeing toward an uncertain fate, you made your way across the empty leagues of the Rukenval. Throughout the journey, you were driven by a single hope: that others had survived the devastation, and that they reached the safety of the Rukenval Chapterhouse. It was a slender hope, to be sure, but even a small hope can warm a man in the cold dark of night. As long as you drew breath, the 10th Legion yet lived, but your foes pressed close about, hunting you. The fate of the Legion, the fate of Ebb itself, rested with you.
So you can see the game has...
This part of the valley. We've come a long way. I think we're close to the old Legion Chapterhouse. If any of our friends is still alive, that's where they'll be.
As you can see, the game has a lot of good ideas. The problem, as I've said, will be the controls. If I manage to get to a point in which they are pleasant, the game is amazing. If you cannot get through the controls with a joystick, you can play with the mouse and keyboard, but it's terrible. The game, the core gameplay mechanic is flawed, and as a consequence, everything is flawed. The key of this game, the secret, are the controls, because the rest is amazing. What happened on the state? Where are we? Where, where did we arrive? The forest of Ebb? What?
I've never been here before. Does this valley have a
They,
name?
they are fully
We
voiced,
call it the
even your
Rill.
character.
It's hard country, not easy to control, even with an army. That's why Odo chose this place. He thought we'd be safe here, while we trained a new legion.
It's like Mass Effect in that sense.
Were the Montbarrons the only legion family in the valley?
No, the Gundricks had a manor here too. They were an old family, and they were here long before the Montbarrons. Stefan Gundrick didn't stand with the legion at the end. I never heard what happened to him or his family.
Who lives
How
here?
many people live out here?
Only a few. There's a village, Raven's Rill. Most of the people are hunters and trappers, from all I've heard. Pilgrims and merchants used to come here before the Legion fell. Made the town rich. But that was years ago, when the roads were still safe.
You said this is hard country. Are there any dangers I should know about?
Spiders. They're as large as a man, and they're smart. They'll ambush travelers on the road. And there's worse things in the forest. Have you heard of the Dakenware? The Beast Lords? In other parts of Ebb, they're only stories. But here, believe me, they're all too real.
Nice way to introduce new creatures that you didn't face, or that you haven't faced in the previous 2 games.
Thank you. That's all I need to know about the valley.
Sorry I couldn't tell you more. I've only been here for a few weeks myself.
Tell me about the attack. What do you remember?
Odo sent letters to all the descendants of the Legion. He wanted to gather them here, train them as legionnaires, and take back the country. Most had already arrived when the mercenaries found us. They surrounded the estate, must have killed the men who were on watch. They smashed through the windows and the doors, slaughtered everyone they could find. Then they set fire to the house.
Those mercenary soldiers. Have you fought them before?
They were Leskanzi, I think. A wandering people, from the desert in the north. I have no idea who sent them here. Leskanzi will fight for anyone who pays them. No, our real enemy hasn't shown himself, or herself. Not yet.
Yeah, I'm telling you who she is. She's Jane Cassandra. Also, yeah, the Balan could have been a bit better, I guess, but well.
Did you see what happened to Odo?
No, I lost sight of him when the fire started. But we agreed to meet at the old Chapterhouse if anything went wrong.
How many people were in the estate when you were attacked?
Almost 40. All sons and daughters of the Legion. Some of them had fought in the wars, but the rest, they were no match for those soldiers. We can hope that a few survived, but most of them are dead. Our enemies didn't seem interested in prisoners.
That's enough about the attack for now.
Right. Maybe Odo can tell us more, if he's alive.
At the chapter house?
The Legion had a chapter house here? In this valley?
They built chapter houses in every part of Ebb, even in remote places like this. They were strongholds where legionnaires would meet, sometimes in fellowship, sometimes for war. You should have seen the grand chapter house in Stonebridge, headquarters for the whole Legion. My father took me inside it once.
Yeah, I also saw them in the first game, I believe.
Let's keep moving. We can talk more later.
You're right. The chapter house isn't far. Follow me.
In case you're wondering, the Echo...
Raven's Rill, the only town in the valley. Looks quiet from here.
The echo that you hear is not my stream. The game works like that. With the echo, it's to kind of like add to the immersion of the game. It's done on purpose. As you can see, it's so similar to Diablo 3. It could easily be kind of like an expansion of Diablo 3. Though the graphics are not that cartoony, they are even similar. Yeah, they are a bit cartoony. Maybe a bit less, but well. As you can see there, see how detailed the background is. We analyzed this in the Lord of the Rings War in the North, that back in the day, developers had, it was a common technique to kind of like all of the things that you see there, kind of like beyond this chunk of mass that we are standing on. The rest of that, it's kind of like a painting. It's pretty much kind of like a painting, like an animated painting. In this case, it has a lot of. You can see the ravens that you passed there. You can see the waterfall. There's another raven. There you can and you can also see kind of like the glow of the sun, of the sunset. You can also see the particles, the leaves. I believe they represent leaves. Yeah, they are leaves from the trees, from the autumn trees. There you can see kind of like a town there, and the river there. Pretty much everything. All of that is kind of like an image, a JPG image. Pretty much, it was a common technique back in the day, and developers had to kind of like perfectly measure it so it was cohesive with the environment, that 2D image in the background. As you can see, it took a lot of skill. Let's see over there. It takes a lot of skill because you have to kind of like make a cohesive image so the player doesn't realize that it's indeed a 2D image. I realized it because I'm playing too pretty close to the screen, way too close to the screen because I'm playing it on PC. There you can see the Chapterhouse. See, they also took into account both views, because like this you cannot see it. You never see it. Look at that. And there's a chapter. There's the. I don't know if it's the Chapterhouse we escaped from or the one we need to go to, but well, there's a Chapterhouse there. What happens if I do this? See that even if I'm trying to break, if I'm deliberately trying to break it, there are, for example, no, I don't know, black corners. For example, here you can see the glow of the sun. See how much care developers used to put in these games. The save was instant, and you don't need, and I didn't need an SSD. I don't like SSDs, though they are fast, but they are way too small. Way too small. They can't hold a huge amount of games. There you can see that the town continues. See the attention to detail that they put into those things. As I've said, they had to perfectly match that 2D environment with this. But, well, as I was saying, we can realize this, I can realize this and highlight it for all of you, because I'm playing at 1440p and extremely close to the screen. Imagine this back during the 7th generation when most people, we all had, instead of amazing monitors with high refresh rate, the path is blocked here. Is blocked. The path is blocked here. Instead of this, imagine the classic 1080p or 720p. You can also walk.
No help for it though.
Or not.
That's where we agreed to meet. We'll have to stay sharp. They could come for us anywhere.
No.
At any time.
No, you cannot walk. I remember that you could walk, I believe. No, you cannot walk. They said to hell with it. Why would you want to walk? That's true. Well, I actually completed Shadow of Middle-earth walking. The animation was so well done that dynamic magic provides quick look to electricity attacks. Yeah, this one. For single targets. Entropic magic can show multiple targets, but it provides little help against nearby threat. Yeah, I see. Yeah, I see the flow of the mechanics. So as I was saying, here you have another example. The volley, yeah, the volley, everything here. They took into, just like how, in case you know, I'm a not a game developer, but a website developer, a software developer, like kind of like normal websites developer. Um, and pretty much the philosophy is to adapt to the screen of the user, and here they did so. It's pretty much the same philosophy because consider 1080p screen from the 7th generation at 1080p or even 720p was a standard. A plasma. A lot of them were plasma TVs, not even LCD screens. They were plasma screens. Those 2D images in the background, you most of the time couldn't see them. You couldn't realize, you couldn't distinguish that if they were 3D or 2D. You had to kind of like get close and pay close attention, and most people wouldn't do that. It's a trick that they used back in the day.
Less Kanzi by the look of it.
Here you can.
Could be a
Ah,
coincidence.
yeah, I told
Let's
you.
look around.
I told you that you could
Might find
walk.
out what
I
they're
remember.
planning.
Yeah, I remember. I remember that I could walk last time. So it's not unlocked until. How about we do the game like this? We finish it? No, no, we're not gonna do that. Oh, cinematic. These are kind of like the gameplays that they do at E3. Now we're approaching this this chest, and here you can see that we are looting our armor. Gameplays over at the. Our employer has put a bounty in the sum of 500 gold coins on the heads of all legionnaires. But why? Dead or alive? In the former case, only confirmed kills will be paid. Good hunting. Okay. They don't like us, people. They don't like us. They don't like. Hey,
So, there's a bounty on our heads. That means they know we're alive, and they're still hunting for us.
hey, those. I think the floor has some reflections of the sun. Pretty amazing. Is there anything to break here so I can loot? No.
There it is, the bridge to the Chapterhouse.
At least it it still yes, it still recognizes the date perfectly.
Another camp. They've hired a whole army.
Right. Let's get to the chapter house first. Well, that one's not in 3D. All of this is those. This one is not in 2D.
Looks like trouble up ahead.
It's all 3D. Huh? I don't know if YouTube sound is actually capturing this, but I can perfectly hear this waterfall perfectly in my right ear pad of the headset. Let's see what happens if I do this. Center, left. Well, I don't know how much of my surround sound system is working for you over at YouTube. Let's see if I exaggerate it a bit more. But the game does feature 3D, a pretty good positional audio. Good.
Huh? What's this? Oh well. Looks like I'll make some decent coin for this job after all.
This one sounds like Gaara from Naruto. That famous that famous voice actor that also plays what was it? The Dungeons and Dragons stream. Um, Ah, critical role. Critical role. Bogdan. But he changed the voice a lot, if I had to say. Uh, Move aside.
Out of the way. We have no business with you.
Spoken like a man of the 10th Legion, arrogant and foolhardy. Lucky for me, I found you first. That means I'll get a handsome bonus for your heads.
While this is inevitable, let's see if he talks. I don't think so.
Who's paying this bonus for killing Legionnaires?
Info?
I don't get paid for answering fool questions.
Predictable.
I get paid for killing Legionnaires.
Oh, come on.
Up, boys. It's time to earn some gold.
That was... Hey, we have bosses. No, the other one. Oh. I need to remember to...
We're outflanked. More coming up from behind.
Really? You don't say. Hey, what about my stupid ability?
That's what.
What's the purpose of this? Does it kill them? I think it exploded.
By that bastard with the gun.
Hey, there's someone alive inside.
Odo is on the other side of this gate.
Oh, you've just acquired your first essence. Essences are special items that can be applied to your equipment to provide additional statistics or improve existing ones. Essences can sometimes be found on the bodies of defeated foes or stored with coins or other treasures. Additionally, you'll sometimes receive an essence when transmuting your items with powerful items, having a greater chance of creating an essence when transmuted. Essences exist for the following statistics: Chaos, Vampire. That one probably restores some life, I guess. Doom, Retribution, Stagger, and Warding. Well, I don't know what they mean right now. Note that you can only receive a particular essence by transmuting if the item is being transmuted had the associated statistic on it to begin with. Essence by transmuting if the item being transmuted had the associated statistic on it to begin with. Alright, so it has to have it kind of like initially. Also, it's difficult to imagine, but well. Also, it is possible but rare to receive more than one essence when transmuting. Okay, we'll see. Essences may be applied to your equipment on the items screen. Okay. Hey, we got our first green. Look at that. You could use just this, just like in Diablo 3. Yeah, I'm fighting without. I wonder if the animation will change. I think so. Good. Pretty straightforward. Will, Dynamo of Rage, attack. I'll go for attack. Capacitor of Vengeance. We'll lose 1 armor. It's pretty visual. This is pretty good. It's pretty visual though. The statistics change. I think I was extremely lucky right at the beginning of the game. Oh, I know it's because it was a boss, so the chance was probably higher. I think the cube changed slightly, and also our general look changed. The boots. The animation doesn't change. Does it? The color maybe, I don't know. Well, whatever. Pretty much. We can go through this. What's that? Sorry that I'm paying so much attention to details, but the visual presentation is amazing. It's just like playing Diablo 3. I would argue that it looks a bit better. We're talking about I'm comparing it to the PS3 and Xbox 360
You're
versions.
alive? Both of you? I thought I was the only one left.
Not quite,
Odo,
although.
you made it. But where are
The others? The men and women I've kept safe for 30 years? Dead. All of them.
The Venerable. One piece of advice that I've seen this repeated in this game constantly. He says men and women, sons and daughters, blah blah. When, for those of you who don't know, that's why I don't want you to be, anyone watching this, to be influenced by stupid ideologies. When you say men, kind of like the human species, you are referring to both. You can Google it. That's how all languages work in the whole world, not only English and the others, and Spanish and Italian, the ones that I know kind of like natively. Not Italian, but Spanish, and they're pretty similar. When you say you don't need to repeat the subject twice, because when you say men, kind of like in a general group, or just like when you say guys, it's including them. I have no idea what they had in their heads when they do that, because it's terrible that they repeat the subject twice. It's because I'm an English teacher. They are repeating the subject twice without any kind of purpose, because they are actually trying to refer to the human species, but probably who did this, it's illiterate. The person is illiterate. The person hasn't been told that when you say that, you are referring to the human species as a whole. In that case, that will. The Memorable Odo. The other 30 years. Alright, so everyone's dead. Nice way to begin the game. How did you escape?
You don't seem hurt. How did you get out?
Because he's
I
Odo.
rounded up a few of our people.
He's the
The only
Venerable.
ones who hadn't been killed.
Hmm.
Renault, Hannah, and one of the twins from Drakenberg. Giles, I think. We jumped from the second floor of the house, made a break for the woods.
Do you have any idea who's behind this?
I can think of a few
Jane.
possibilities. Jane Cassinder, for one. As long as we're alive, we're a threat. A symbol of the nation she destroyed. And there's the royal court, or what's left of it. They may still blame the Legion for the old king's death.
Anyone else?
That's two possibilities. Any others?
Anyone who stands to profit from civil war and bedlam. That's a long and formidable list.
Who else could have survived? We need to find them.
My ward, Anjali. I sent her to keep watch for latecomers. She wasn't at the estate when we were attacked.
What about Lucas Montbarron? I didn't see him at the gathering. He wouldn't have known to meet us here, and he might still be alive.
And there's another survivor, too. The half-blood Lescanzi girl. I couldn't convince her to join us before, but things are different now. Might have been one or two others who hadn't arrived yet when we were attacked. Hard to say.
A bit of a spoiler. A bit of a spoiler. You didn't choose them as playable characters. Otherwise, it would have been the other way around.
I thought the Montbarrons were dead and gone.
All but one. Lucas is the youngest son of the old Grand Master, Hugh Montbarron. He was born just before the Legion's fall. Raised by friends of the Legion, passed from household to household to avoid Jane Cassinder's spies.
What do you know about the Lescanzi woman? You say she has Legion blood, but is she really on our side?
Katarina.
She'll be a delicate problem. I don't expect her to join us. Not yet.
We can't trust her, Odo. She's unpredictable, undisciplined, and...
Doesn't matter. If there's Legion blood in her veins, she's family. I won't forsake her.
Odo,
Yeah.
who is this ward of yours?
Anjali, my adopted daughter. She's unique. Has a foreign look about her. Resourceful girl. Learned that from me. Fights with a spear. She'll be hard to miss.
Alright. Since we're playing ranged, we need a melee. We need a melee character. So Katarina is discarded. Besides, I used her as a companion when I played with Montbarron. Right. So with the son of Montbarron, with Lucas. So it's between Lucas and Anjali.
If they're alive, I'll find them. Martin, you'd better stay here.
I think you cannot choose.
I agree. You're bleeding, Giscard, and you can barely stand up. I'll do what I can for Martin, but he'll be no help to you, not like this. I'm sorry. You'll be on your own until you find the others.
You know
Right.
this valley better than me. Where could they have gone?
Raven's Rill. It's the only town in the valley. The people here stayed true to the Legion, even when the rest of Ebb turned against us.
I'll head for Raven's Rill then.
The town is west of here. Cross the bridge and turn right at the crossroads. Try to find Lazar Basili, the town boyar. He's an old friend and he'll help us if he can.
Okay.
And be careful. Those mercenaries are still here in the valley. Keep your eyes sharp and come back safe.
Yes. When you level up, you earn ability points, proficiency points, and talent points. Spend these to improve your character in different ways. Abilities. These are new actions that your character can take after you purchase them. They are mapped to X, Y, or B. There are 9 total abilities you can learn. You do not earn ability points every level. Oh. Proficiencies. These are upgrades for your abilities. Buying proficiencies allows you to customize the effects of your abilities to suit your playstyle. You earn 1 proficiency point every level, except at 5th level, where you receive a bonus point. Talents. These are general improvements to your character and are not restricted to specific abilities. There are 3 tiers of talents you can only purchase from the first tier now. You will unlock the next at tier 10. Okay. You've earned an ability point at this level, so you can purchase a new ability. At this point, you only have access to the recruit tier of abilities, of which you have already had 2. An ability is your first defensive ability. Please purchase your defensive ability now. Right, so this one, the lightning strike, clockwork trap. That's the thing on the floor that we do. And summons a trap of enemy. Crossing it will detonate the trap, unleashing a deadly blast. If you empowered, casting an empowered clockwork trap detonates all existing clockwork traps with greater force and radius than normal. Circle of healing. I can heal. Next, a healing spell that heals 50% of his health over the course of 30 seconds. Damn it. The entire party. Good. I'll have a pretty good control. Hey, it has the kind of like the sign of the international. Kind of like the international medics, the symbol, the real one. Okay, with this I'll be able to control the flow of the battle. Can we inspect the Aduas? Perpetual Momentum slowly recovers focus and is immune to stunning and slowing. Good. There's a conical blast attacks health. Blah, 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 blah. So it affects our basic attacks, I believe. Or what? I hope one of them affects my basic attacks. It's a single foe. No. They don't affect basic attacks. Okay. You also earn proficient spending purchased. Alright, it's all about the abilities. 65% per rank list. Aggressive defense. And remain near Reinhardt. Ah, pretty good. Lightning strike. Of course, no. No. I mean, single target damage. This is useless. We won't be using this. A shockwave that stuns nearby enemies for. This one is clear. The thunderclap. Is hit by the clockwork trap. Suffer 12% per rank slowing effects for 2 seconds per rank. 10 more damage. I think we'll go straight for damage. Vector dampening. No. An aggressive defense. A circle of fitness in effect, enemies suffer a slight damage over time. As long as they remain near Reinhardt. Okay, I wonder what he means by near, but well. If anyone comes close. But it says a slight. Yeah, the problem is this with this clockwork trap is that one enemy attacks you and the other wants to stay behind, but I don't think it will be the case. They usually try to swarm you. Good. On the right half of the screen, you can find the proficiencies for the abilities you selected. Damage. That's right. As you purchase proficiency, the bar for the ability, there are only 5 slots, and you can only spend 5. Split those 5 points between the two as you like. But you can't buy everything, so choose the proficiency that best match you. Well, first we'll go for straight damage. Then we can worry about the rest. But also, you have also earned a talent point. Talents provide special bonuses that affect your turn and are not received to a particular ability. Talent, but you can only purchase talent from the first tier now. As you gain more levels, you will unlock the other talent tiers. Genius. Reinhardt Will is increased by 4 per rank. Enemies hit by lightning strike, mirror leap. So you suffer charged status, taking 3 additional damage. Entropic mastery. Foes hit by clockwork trap, geometry of annihilation. Suffer drained status, losing 30% attack power. This one dampens damage. Numismatics. The science that's due this coin. The amount of money acquired from piles of coins that Reinhardt picks up, it's increased by 20% per rank. This one, it's kind of like a good early talent. 3% power per rank. What are the others? Timely Escape. He inflicts a modest slowing effect every time you dodge. Oh, this one is pretty brutal. This one? The focus cost of all Reinhardt abilities are, Will? No, but the mana is... The mana in this game is called Focus. Then what the fuck is Will? Ah, Will is the one that increases damage. First, we'll go with the money, if you don't mind. Right from the get-go, we'll have a huge boost of money. That's always important. Money rules the world. Just press left. Quests. So we have search for survival. Hey, introduction. Treasures of the Sun. Talk to Oswald. We'll see. Alright, still not yet. Okay. Oswald. Talk to villagers. Fight Lazar. A friend of the Legion. Search for survivors. There we go. And we can save. I want to see something. You can change the difficulty here. In case you want to change it, kind of like mid-game. You can change it. So yep, you can change it. You can actually change it. Okay. Let's explore the old Chapterhouse. It'll be our base after all. Many centuries ago, explorers from the Empire of Stars crossed the Aranoid Desert and discovered a fertile country, rich in arable land and mineral resources. The Imperial explorers were soon followed by tradesmen and prospectors, and in time, this new land called Ev, the Kingdom of Ev, became an Imperial colony. When the Empire of Stars collapsed, Ev was a refuge for the 10th Legion, the finest and best trained of the Imperial armies. The noble legionnaires protected Ev during the War of Legions. When the old Empire tore itself apart, they're telling you the story of the first game. The 10th Legion also defeated the wicked Sek, who bravely occupied Ev after the war. Let's say that well, the other one was kind of like before the first game. The part of Sek is the first game. But Ev after the war. At the war's end, the commanders of the 10th Legion established a new and independent Kingdom of Ev, which persisted in relative peace and prosperity for over 400 years throughout Ev's history, and then the second game came around. The 10th Legion provided stability and protection for the kingdom, though they left rulership of the kingdom to an independent monarchy. They were kind of like the wardens. You can also dismiss it with B. Town of Ravens Rill sits astride the clear mountain stream that shares its name. In ancient times, this was the site of a portage, where travelers would pull their boats from the water and carry them down a short trail past the waterfall and rapids before re-entering the Rill. The village was founded here for this reason, and it became a convenient way station where travelers could rest and resupply before continuing downriver. Most of the residents are of mixed Bersk and Leskansi blood, so they tend toward darker hair and complexion. The town is administered by a boyar, an archaic title of nobility. For the past 2 centuries, this title has been held by the Basile family, who claim to be descended from the famous Imperial explorers Felwir and Clares. Rumors suggest that the Basiles are currently descended from a grumpy mule driver who is mentioned in Fedwirl's journals, a claim that is steadfastly denied by the family. As you can see, lore gained. Among the most feared denizens of the Rookenball forest are the Dankenweir. I don't know. The Beast Lords. We'll call them the Beast Lords. They walk upright, but they hate the races of men, and they have power over all the beasts of the land. These creatures display an alarming intelligence, and they decorate themselves with river mud, clay, and occasionally blood. Dankenweir share features in common with many dangerous beasts, such as bears, wolves, and wolverines, suggesting kinship to all. It is said that Dankenweir are relics of a vanished age before any beast had bowed its head to humanity. They dwell in wild, untamed places far from the centers of human habitation. Hunters and trappers claim to know when they have trespassed into a Beast Lord Dankenweir territory by judging the aggressiveness and intelligence of local animals. Large predators that dwell within a Dankenweir's territory are uncharacteristically hostile towards intruders. Okay. As you can see, the game has a pretty in-depth lore. Just like Diablo 3, I guess. This one it's a bit better executed, if I had to say. Pretty good. See how it has an amazing world building with see how with all of those details you can have Amazing world building. You have earned a power sphere. Power sphere unlocked by completing key points of the game. You can fill power spheres by using special abilities blocking. Ah, to make a power attack. RT and press A. Ah, so this is independent from the focus bar. So the clockwork trap is one thing, and that sphere is kind of like a more powerful attack. Alright, let's explore the Chapterhouse. This appears to be an old Legion causeway. Whatever magic it once possessed is now either gone or dormant. I think this is the where we have to go to access the Treasures of the Sun DLC. Okay. Remember, people, we are doing a 100% completion of the game, so we are doing all dialogue options, all of the lore, all of the reading, all of the side quests, all of the main quests, of course, everything on hardcore difficulty, everything. We are doing a 100% completion of this game to finally prove that it's not, well, to analyze the game. I personally will try to prove that it's not a shit game, but it's not a bias because I've already played the game. I want to prove that at least it's not a shit game. It's not a shit game. But the exact qualification will be unbiased. Will it be a 7, a 6, 8? I don't know. We'll see. Maybe if the gameplay system is completely fucked up and it was just my nostalgia, I don't know. If the gameplay system is shit, well, what can we do about it? This book was written by a scribe called Gregory, and it describes prominent features of the Rooken Bowl. Odo left it open to a particular page, so let's see what he was reading. The ancient forest known as the Mournweld. If all of the names are like this, you'll have to bear with me. I'll try to pronounce them as good as I can, but well. Mournweld has always been a strange and unpredictable place. Local people believe that the Mournweld has a consciousness, an awareness of its own. The forest. Few have ever entered the forest. Barriers and thorns and roots have kept them out. We have only rumors and half-remembered stories to tell us of the forest's interior, but it seems to be different for every person who ventures inside. Some stories tell us of a trackless, primeval wood, a relic from the time of the creator gods at the dawn of the world. At the heart of the Mournweld is the Great Tree, where the Legion is said to have made their last stand. It has only been seen by a rare few who seem to have been invited inside. They speak of great rifts in the ground, crossed by bridges, sometimes natural, sometimes man-made, as if the forest is guiding them to its heart. But the path is not always there when they try to retrace their steps, and many who have entered the forest have never come out again.
First time I've been shot. Hurts worse than I thought.
Head west and turn right at the crossroads. The road will take you straight to Raven's Rill.
Alright, you cannot select any dialogue option. Pretty much you are told, oh, you're right, you wasted enough time, get moving. Get moving. Well, I read everything there. Here, is there something to read? No. We can go downstairs, though. I want to see something. I can barely see outside here. But I can see outside a bit. So here we need to pay attention to this. Every now and then I'll come back here to check if I can access the Treasures of the Sun DLC. I assume it's there. It's at the Causeway or something like that. And what's in here? Hey, pretty nice house. I wouldn't mind living in here. Look at the steps. Pay attention to them. Hear them. They are. We are actually walking on wood. It's very realistic. It's pretty realistic. Let's see if we change there to the marble floor. Oh, and the stairs changed as well. Here they made no distinction. Here they made no distinction, though there's a marble line here. They said no one would realize it. Yeah, the unbearable eraser that degenerate, he realized it. He realized it that we didn't pay attention to. Here they implemented. Hey, it feels like walking on marble, on a marble floor. Here? Here it's all wood floor. And here? No, here they implemented it. Look at this. They kind of like matched the visuals. For example, here is all dark. They said it's okay because you cannot see if it's marble or not. Here you could, I could see. You picked up an item that you charter cannot equip. Please, including those you cannot equip. Well, whatever. Oh, what's this? These don't look friendly. They're already attacking. What the? What the fuck? This was a safe house. I wasn't supposed to be attacked by spiders here. What the? Now I need to use my ability. This was a nice touch. The game has an amazing 3D sound. Has an amazing 3D sound. You can perfectly. I don't know if over at the if you're watching this as a YouTube bot, if you can tell the difference. My surround audio should kind of like enhance it, but I don't know if YouTube's audio is actually faithful. Then I'll rewatch it. I think you can hear it. Because kind of like my 3D positional audio should exacerbate it. The game has a pretty good 3D audio. Pretty good 3D based audio. This is also locked. But my surround systems should kind of like exaggerate it and you should be able to hear it. Kind of like the attacks come from all directions. Pretty good. Also, these details of the fact that they implemented a different sound for the marble floor. This one feels like metal. This one is different. This is metal. This is wood. And this is marble. At least three different sounds for your steps. Pretty amazing. The reflections, the game has reflections there. And the shadows, look at that. The shadows are kind of like perfect. I've never seen such good shadows. The shadows are amazing. That's extremely realistic. If the light source is coming from there. Consider it's a game from 2011. I know people, sorry. I know that all of these details may sound stupid, but the attention to detail in this game is pretty amazing. Hey, the cube is actually animated. Look at that. Pretty good. No. Everything, also pay attention, everything has kind of like its own glow source. And also look at this. This is not ray tracing. There was no ray tracing back in the day. They had to manually implement all of these lights kind of like manually. That's kind of like amazing. It's everything has its own light source. There you can see the reflections also there. There you can see them. Incredible. Yeah, I didn't remember the game having so much attention to detail back in the day, because of course I played it on a big screen, as I've told you. We all played this on a big screen 10 years ago. This has particles. Pretty good. The game has a lot of attention to detail. It's clearly more than Diablo 3. The attention to detail is bigger than in Diablo 3. The particles of the leaves. Yes, the graphical presentation of the game is beyond amazing. Let's see the sound of the steps here. This one is different. And this one these two are also different from the three that we saw previously. Don't tell me they implemented at least 5. And here the mud. Well. Oops. Alright, I need to work a bit. 5. Of course, grass. 6. 6 different sounds of surfaces when you step on them. The ones inside of the Chapterhouse were different. Wow. Wow. How do I activate my healing? Ah, well, blocking. Well, I don't know. I love how the cube gets on top of my head. Okay. We need to save constantly, because in this game the saving system is kind of like old school. I need to remember the rotation. Sadly that takes some time. There we go. Yeah, actually I have to open up with the trap. With the clock trap as soon as I spot an enemy. Okay. The mud on the ground has reflections as well, damn it. Look at the shadows. This game doesn't look like a game from 2011. Well, if Breastplate of Valor, right? Look at that. Enemies go back if... Look at that. Enemies go back. You don't recover all of your health. Enemies go back if you kind of like retreat. That's pretty good. That means the detection range is working pretty well, because the detection range is working pretty well, because otherwise you could kind of like, you know, you could just kite some of the enemies and dispatch them individually. The armor didn't change a lot graphically yet, but well. In that department, there we had a camera Camera problem there. Yeah, it has some slight camera problems in terms of the negative things, but now the visual presentation overall it's pretty amazing. Can we walk here? Yeah. How about this? Alright, I can individually... I need to learn how to point those attacks. That's the difficulty in terms of it has a limit. But anyways, it was pretty good. Okay. Yeah, the controls I can understand the complaints, but overall I've seen worse. Block stamina? No, forget it. We're not blocking. Dynamo? We go. I think will actually increases our, I don't know, our ability damage probably. Then I'll see that. Attack DPS, ability DPS 6. Okay. Most of the time, our normal attack will be the one responsible for now. So will be the one responsible of killing them. Hey, you don't recover all of your health with those orbs. We need to be careful. This appears to be the corpse of a Lascanzi mercenary. His body has been stripped of flesh, and his bones have been gnawed by sharp, thin teeth. Tracks around the body lead into the water. Wow. Hi there. Alright, I need to remember this one and the other one. Okay, damn it. Oh. Alright, so you dodge with LT, with left T, with the bumper, and the other one, RB, is the one that allows me to change between stances. Okay. Determined musket. Not for our class. Okay. Very nice ambient soundtrack. Very nice, pretty similar to Diablo 3. Welcome to Raven's Hill.
You're a Legionnaire, aren't you?
Or Raven's Rill.
Bad idea coming here.
Bad idea coming here. Explain yourself.
Why would you say that? Is there trouble in the village?
The Rill is an occupied town.
The Rill.
Not sure how you got this far with all the Lascanzi about.
You're not
If
Lascans.
this town is occupied, why are you guarding the gate?
A big Lascanzi, Boris by name, told me to guard the gate. Same fellow that killed one of our constables. I wasn't about to say no.
That's sensible.
Do you know where I can find Lazar Basili?
No, I haven't seen him. Not since the mercenaries got here.
Same voice.
Folk in town may know more, but I doubt they'll tell you.
Same voice actor as the mercenary that we faced before. He just changed the intonation. Why not?
And why is that?
They're afraid.
They're scared.
Uh-huh.
The Lascanzi have already killed one of our constables, and now they're asking a lot of questions about Legionnaires. Everyone knows the Legion is finished. It would be foolish to help you.
No, it's not. We're gonna kill them. No, it's not.
Are you going to let me pass or not?
I've no orders to stop you. Open the gates!
Alright, let's get going. Alright. Sheriff is in town. Lower Raven's Rill. Sorry, I think I said Hill last time. Oh. Hmm. This is pretty much like Diablo 3. This is Diablo 3 all over the place. I love that the game kind of like keeps the same aesthetic in terms of the lights. Everything is goldenish, yellowish. Hello.
Is it true? The old estate was burned to the ground?
Yes, it was. You talk? No. You? No, you don't talk. You talk? Characters with an exclamation mark above their head have a quest available. Alright. Pretty straightforward. Oh, it has glow as well. Ludmilla. How are you doing, fine lady? Let's see.
Please,
Oh,
I just want to be left alone. Can't a widow grieve in peace?
what happened?
How did your husband die?
The mercenary filth marched in and took over the Rill. My husband Vaclav was a constable here in town.
The constable.
Vaclav spoke out against the invaders, and one of the bastards ran him through without a second thought. Murdered him in cold blood. A curse on all Lascanzi.
This murderer needs to be brought to justice. Who was it?
I heard the others cheer his name. Boris, as he... I beg you, Legionnaire, avenge this wrong. Avenge my husband.
We will.
We'll give him justice. Cold and swift. What does he look like, and where is he gone?
He wore a sash across his face. Bring me that sash and I'll know the bastard is dead.
You may make a quest active at any time by selecting and pressing A. Your quest will always lead to your active quest's current objective. Yeah, in that sense, it has a pretty good navigation system, the game.
Is it done? Has the Lascanzi dog been put down?
I have yet to find him.
Return to me when the ravens are feasting on his black heart.
Pretty good dialogue lines. Realistic. Nice fantasy setting. Alright.
Get out
You?
of town while you still can.
Hey, bigger than what I expected. I think it's bigger than than Tristram Town from Diablo 3, the first town that you get to. Yeah, Tristram Town. It's not the cathedral, it's the town. Sorry, I remember the cathedral from the first game.
Destroyed the southern bridge. Any hope of rescue is folly.
Okay, generic dialogue lines, a bit more generic. But no, I am... The first thing that...
Should have moved to Stonebridge when I had the chance.
Oh, that's pretty expensive. Stonebridge is kind of like the capital of the kingdom of Ebb. That's expensive. That's way too expensive. Let me guess, the ravens are going to fly. Pretty typical.
Danger. I can help
Oh.
you, but we must be discreet.
Katarina, how are you doing?
Pretend that you know me. We're old friends, yes? Or even lovers, perhaps.
Katarina, how are you doing? It's been 10 years. What danger?
Danger. The town seems quiet.
This town is a trap. An army of Lascanzi mercenaries is hiding in the upper Rill, behind the walls. More of them are in the forest outside of town. They wait for you, and for your friends. The woman who hired them, she's not taking any chances.
I love how they lined the frame perfectly so that when you are reading, you are looking at what all of you must have been looking for some minutes by now. You guys, you're we all know what you are looking at right now. Okay. I will. That's feminine beauty, people. Don't let yourself be fooled. Need to admire it for what it is. Okay. Who hired the mercenaries? Explain this trap. Why are you helping me? Because she's Katarina. She's the one that Odo talked about. Let's make this stupid question.
You are Laskanzi. You'd betray your own people?
I decide who my people are and who they are not. My loyalty does not come at a price.
Who hired the
So the
mercenaries?
mercenaries were hired by a woman. Do you know who she is?
I won't speak her name, not when she's so close. You might think me foolish, but better foolish and safe than brazen and dead.
Nice point. Look at her eyes, people. Look at how beautiful eyes she. What beautiful eyes she has.
You
Playing
say
this
this town
trap.
is a trap. What's your role in it?
I am the bait. I was told to watch for legionnaires and to warn the others if I found you. They would come running from all directions, and you would be caught or killed. But my sister and I have other plans, so the trap won't be sprung. Bad luck for my employer, yes?
Go on.
I'm listening. Tell me the rest.
Follow the western road out of town. My sister is waiting for you in a cave there. Her name is Leona. You would do well to speak to her.
Directions won't be needed because, as I've said, in this game the navigation system is kind of like perfect.
You said I'd do well to speak with her. Why?
It's explicit,
You are
straight to
looking
the
for your
point.
comrades, yes? Men and women of Legion blood. If any of them survive the attack, they are prisoners now. My sister will know where to find them.
Please, never. If you have a brain, never talk like that ever. Kind of like repeating the subject twice. It's kind of like unneeded in any language. That's why we have neutral pronouns like they when we try to refer to a group, or in this case, men of the Legion, people of the Legion would include both of them, but repeating the subject, it's a grammatical mistake. Where's the cave?
I'll need better directions to this cave.
Follow the western road and look for a trail heading north into the woods. It will lead you to the cave.
Very well. I'll find your sister and see what she has to say.
We shouldn't be seen together. I'll take a different path and meet you later if I can.
Perfect. I know you're all screaming right now. No, please keep the dialogue lines. No, people, no, 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 no. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. We need to keep going with the story. I wasn't expecting that they would be so. I was about to say it was a subliminal message, but they made it's so straightforward that like they force you to read right there. Oh well. Gaming 101.
Forgive me if I do not indulge in idle chatter with a complete stranger.
And you fine gentleman? Gregory.
Forgive me if I do not indulge in idle chatter with a complete stranger.
Oh. Then what am I meant to do? He was my contact here. You can buy Petru.
Good day to you, friend. Come to peruse Petru's fabulous shop of wonderment and mystery? You shan't regret it, I vow.
Shan't. It's been so much time since I don't hear that. They are pretty realistic. It's true. Back in medieval times, that one was a much more common. Kind of like old school British English. Yeah, I had to study that one. Yeah. It's totally perfect. They are pretty it's pretty realistic, the vocabulary, except for the double. They ruined it with the double subject in all sentences without any kind of I love how they included that, but then they exactly line up the chest of the characters with the dialogue lines. God damn it. God damn it. Okay. What about the
How are you able
Lascansi?
to do business here with Laskanzi controlling the town?
How am I? Why, by selling to the Laskanzi, of course. They're the best customers I've had in ages. Normally, I earn my coin selling in bulk to Florin the merchant. But these mercenaries are quite content to buy directly from my shop.
Content instead of happy, damn it. Or pleased, are quite pleased, are quite happy. Are, I don't know. It almost feels kind of like a bit Yeah, it's not unnatural because it's correct, but it feels kind of like old-fashioned, to be precise. You betray the
Don't you
town.
consider selling to these mercenaries a betrayal of your own people?
No, otherwise I get killed.
No, I don't consider it a betrayal. Well, maybe a half of one. My mother was Lascanzi, you see, and my father was a real man.
Oh, what a
And since I'm
conundrum.
willing to sell to you, or to any of the townsfolk who want to fight back, I think of it more as honoring both my parents.
Based philosophy right there, people.
What exactly are you selling here?
Based philosophy.
Magic, of course, sir. The finest sorceries a fellow can buy, distilled into talismans, amulets, and
Perfect.
gewgaws of all description.
Show him to me.
Admittedly, my stock is a
Ah.
bit low, just at the moment, but what I have is of the finest quality.
Hey, look at that. The particles work even in conversations. Did you see that leave right now? If you're watching this as a YouTube, go press left and go 5 seconds before. Ah, there you have another one. Ah, pretty good. Pretty good.
Of course, sir, of course. Step right up and have a look at the stall.
Damn it, they took the time to do that so it feels realistic, damn it. The great look, the new highlight on the green, the panel will show you a comparison. Perfect. Now, let's take advantage of our talent. So, look, oof. How much do we have? 902, see why? Money is always important, people. Stamina, attack, power, armor, let's see. Vengeful blues. Sell, this is the sell screen. You can sell your items to the shopkeeper here. If you accidentally sell something you didn't want to, don't worry. You can switch to buyback mode where you can buy back items that you shouldn't repeat the verb like that. You should say recover or yeah, because you are kind of like repeating buyback and then the split phrasal verb there. That you've recently sold to stores. Be careful, you can only buy back the last 32 items you've sold. I think I would need to be extremely stupid if I made a mistake with 32 items. Okay, first let's do what I usually do in RPGs. First we'll equip the best equipment that we have. Agility, attack, will, no. Then we'll equip the best equipment that we have and sell the rest. Headband, I was pretty unlucky with those. This one is of common quality. Common quality. Good. Shows of quickness. The rest are common quality. Perfect. Then what was I looking at? This shit. I know, -7 armor. Ah, but it's +4 attack. And it already has 4, so it's pretty high. But whatever. I love how the part of the DLC is kind of like shit. They're kind of like shit items that you get at the beginning of the game. And here I was a bit lucky. Okay, so the belt is okay. The rest don't pay a lot of attention to. Nice. It's nice is that you can directly interact with the. Hey, we have kind of like legendaries here. Yeah, I remember this. That in this game, kind of like. I don't remember this ring here. Am I stupid or what? Alright, but it removes attack. It doesn't tell you the negatives. Okay, I was right. Sell. Sell, sell. Breastplate of Baylor. I think it's not for me. I don't use breastplates. I don't use Holbrex. Reinforced generator. I tells you. You can see that there's a face there. It tells you. Nope. Tough shoes. These are not equipped, I think. I think I'm gonna sell equipped ones. Stockings, no. Termin musket, no. They're all for Katarina. This one we need the blues. We use blues pretty much like an image. So we begin with this. Did I buy that? I know I'm stupid. 2064 and we only have 1058. Okay, the economy of the game is not broken. The headband, please. Do you have? Hey, the prices are pretty high. Good. It forces you to strategically think what you need. Spark of the Storm. The orb is not that good, or at least well, this is a huge difference. Sadly, 1,075, and we have 1,058. Shit. Shit. Can I unequip something? Not relevant. This is not relevant. Unequip, please. You can't. Pants, shoes, blah 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 blah. Can I unequip something? Yeah, I can equip the default and sell the not here and sell the other one. Let's see here. Yeah, right. I'll equip this. I sell this 38. Will that be enough? How much was it? Let's see. Shit. God damn it. Almost there. We'll have to sell something else. Good. The economy is extremely exact. It's so exact. Dynamo of Rage. 3 attack, 2 ability. Let's see. What we're gonna buy an orb, so we equip this, we sell that one, and that should be more than enough. Let's do this. Locus of conflagration. Okay. All to attack, and all of these stay there. We have no whip. Excuse me. I know, we still don't have enough. What the? I know. What the? But that was. The price. They pay you much less. Damn it. I've been swindled, people. I've been swindled. I'll remove that. See, it says 20. But then when you sell it, it's not enough. Let's see. Let's pay attention this time. 3. God damn it. It's not enough. God damn it. This was a pretty brutal trap. And here I was about to do my trick. Well, anyways, that I think that thing alone will be a huge difference. Damn it! They balanced the economy in such a way we have exactly 1,075. Good, good. And remember that I got a talent at the beginning of the game, or when I mean at the beginning when we reached the Chapterhouse. That increased. I cannot change my thing in town, my stance. Okay, nice.
The mercenaries have witches with them. A score of them, or more.
I heard that everyone in the Legion was killed, yet here you stand. Perhaps you can help me. When the Lascanzi took the town, one of their leaders stole something of great importance. I'd like the Legion to get it back.
Have you seen Lazar?
I know where I can find Lazar Basile.
I've little concern for the well-being of Lazar Basile, the fool. I'm of the mind this entire mess is his failing.
I'm of the mind. What an old school expression. Pretty well executed. What was it?
What did the Lascanzi take from you?
A small golden statue of Azurnai. It's been in my family for generations. It's the most valuable thing I own. Or owned, as it were. A Leskanzi sergeant burst into my home and just took my statue from its shrine. Then he threatened to kill my wife if I said so much as a word.
I'll find your property if I can. Do you know the name of the thief?
They called him Ottokar, I think. He camps with the rest of the mercenary scum in the forest to the west.
Alright, at least now we need where to go. We know... We need where to... Now we know where to go.
Sodding Wisconsin are eating supplies like it was harvest time. How are we supposed to survive come winter?
We know where we need to go. We know where we need to go, people. We know where we need to go. Camp West, Camp West. I think these are all the...
Just remembered.
Ah, look at that. They are marked in the minimap. Look at that. Look at the minimap. If you pay close attention, those small symbols there, they tell you where to get the
Have a care with all
the
that
side
boot
quests.
stomping. You'll scare the fish.
If the fish aren't biting here, why not find another spot?
I don't need to find another spot. I know the best fishing hole in the valley. Problem is, I just can't fish there no more. Something nasty took up residence in my favorite pond. Last time I tried to drop a line there, it nearly killed me.
What do you mean? Some kind of creature?
Not sure what it is. Some sort of devilfish. Size of a man, at least, and that's no fisherman's lie. That thing's meaner than a fat woman in a bread line. I'd stay clear of it if I were you.
Yeah.
I'm a legionnaire. Is there anything I can do to help?
Not sure why you'd want to tangle with that thing, but if you can put it down, I'd be happy as a fly in the outhouse. Of course, I need proof it was dead. One of its teeth should do the trick.
Where can I find this creature?
Head east out of town and look for a pond to the south. That's where you'll find the beast. Here, take some of my secret bait with you. When you find the pond, toss it in the water. The smell seemed to draw it out last time.
Don't you miss this? Hey, we got an item there. Don't you miss this period of time, people? Where you could educately, with education, politely, with education, you could tell a person that he or she is fat. Nowadays, you could get impaled for that. Don't you miss this period of time in which there was true freedom? Where you could say that you, as a man, can like some women, but not other? The same way around. As a woman, you could say that you can... Well, you girls, if you're watching this, if any of you is watching this, you can still say it, but we cannot. We have to say, nope, we are all ugly, and you are all beautiful, pretty much. We cannot say, well, I like a woman like this, with this behavior, with this... No, nowadays we cannot say it. Pretty sad, pretty sad, pretty sad. But you can say, I like a man like this, with this aspect, with this physical aspect, with this behavior. What's that? Is there any purpose to this? To closing this or unopening this? No.
If your legion couldn't stop these mercenaries, what chance do we have?
Now, let's try the navigation system. This game has a pretty good navigation system. Now, we may... Of course, we are going to ignore the main quest. And go straight for this. And now you'll see what happens. No, it wasn't this one, it was this one. Oh, here. First, let me see the orb that we got. Alright, we got back to... And it was with this. There we go. Now I remember. I don't think if... I don't know if this was covered during the tutorial. See? I told you it was going to be pretty straightforward. It's pretty straightforward, the navigation system. I told you it was going to be pretty straightforward. It's going to be pretty straightforward. We move like this here. You use the kind of like the app, not the thumbstick, the crosspad. All right. We are outside of a map. What's going on? Eh. What's that? Use Jacob's secret bait. Lower this. Use Jacob's secret bait. Alright, yeah, this one was predictable. I don't know why we are outside of the map. But well. The Maldorous chunks of obscure grey flesh bob gently into suddenly. Hey, hello, how are you going? Oh, it's a boss. I should have faced this. Please tell me I saved. Oh. See, I told you this was going to be pretty fast. That was a bit stupid. Right. See, I told you. I told you the game was going to be brutal. No, you cannot save the game until combat has ended. You're right. Yes, so we don't. Okay. And consider that I bought a new orb. Alright. Let's stay away from there until we level up a bit. Anyways, our other side quest was over here. That's right, Lescancy Mercenaries. That's right. Much better. That stupid trap is not the best ability in the world, but well. Remember to always save because this game uses that you need to pay attention to. It uses an old school.
You're with the Legion. Maybe my luck isn't as wretched as I thought.
What are you doing out here?
I was trying to haul some goods south to Stonebridge, but the whole valley's crawling with Lescancy mercenaries. A whole pack of them set on me up the road and stole my wagon.
I have a score of my own to settle with these mercenaries. I'll get your wagon back.
You may have just saved me from debtor's prison, friend. Don't think I won't repay this kindness. Get my merchandise back, and I'll reward you. And of course, you'll get a discount on anything you might want to buy.
Magnificent. That's what I like. Let's equip all of that. Thank you. Because I sold all of my equipment. Much better. Remember, people, we are doing a 100% completion of the game. So we are doing all side quests, all dialogue lines, all everything. Nice. Not bad. Steadfast circuit. Sorry that I'm pausing so many times, but we are a bit vulnerable in case you haven't realized. We block agility, armor. What about armor? Agility. What could agility be? Well, whatever. It's no, but whatever. No, this is better. Well, whatever. Sorry that I'm pausing so many times, but I remember that this game was kind of like extremely unbalanced at the beginning. Well, one thing's for sure, elemental damage does work in this game. And hey, this is the way we came. Bye. One thing's for sure. Can I walk here? I know, and here I cannot walk. Interesting. Let's farm. Let's farm so we can. My experience bar is over there, right? Perfect. Right, I'm beginning to see a pattern here. The huge blue circles. At least you cannot get lost in this game. Hey, that one is pretty powerful. Hey, I wonder if the... Let me try with the blur. Because maybe it looks good. And I'm stupid for not using it. Let's see. Maybe it gives a more cinematic thingy, or what?
Huh. That'll teach those thugs to harass innocent merchants on the road. You have my thanks. And I suppose I can offer you this as well. If you're looking to buy, just step on up to the wagon and have a look. I'll give you a good price.
The faces, in case you didn't realize, they're pretty well done. I don't know what kind of what kind of difference this motion blur did, but no. There we go. It didn't make a lot of difference. Pretty much. How much time has it been? Time sure flies. 2 hours and 37 minutes. We still have one more mission here. Is the road still blocked? Is it? Or not? Hey, look at that. The orb now has a nice glow to it. Pretty well done. In terms of the presentation, the game is amazing for a game that was released back in 2011. Hey, I think the tree blocking the way was removed. Yeah, it was removed, definitely. Oof. Let's go. That doesn't have a lot of range, but, well, yeah, the key here, in terms of the analysis of this game, the visual presentation is amazing. The lore, as we could see an hour ago, it's amazing. The key are the controls. If you can adapt to the controls, for example, also the sound is pretty well executed, pretty well made. You could see that it had a perfect 3D sound, but not only that. Oh, spiders. Let's go for individual attacks. There we go. Nice. You could see that the game had kind of like 6. At least I could count. We could count an hour ago 6 different sounds for your steps. Kind of like to the eastern swamp. Ah, these are individual. Could it be? Or are you to Hero's Crypt? And the center one, can you read it? No, only 2. Let's see. The navigation system is pretty straightforward, as I remember it. It'll tell you where to go, pretty much. It also reminds me of Diablo, just a bit less cartoony. Or pretty similar to Diablo 3, if I had to say. I remember that roughly 10 years ago, when it came out, this game was hated, and when I say hated, I mean extremely beleaguered in terms of the reviews, because it was so different when compared to Dungeon Siege 1 and 2. But the thing is that most people don't know about Space Siege that we covered on the channel some... Ah, there it is. There's a boss. Boris, how are you doing? Alright. He has kind of like a slow aura. Let's see. It's a bit more tactical, a bit slower. Like this. But well, nowadays, if people like Dark Souls, which is a bit... It's a bit more... It's a slower than most action RPGs from this generation, from the 7th generation. This one is not that different. I mean, in case you are wondering, I played the melee class. I completed the game with a melee class, with a warrior, with Lucas Montbarron 10 years ago, and it's also slow. Believe it or not, even if it's melee, it's also slow. Pretty much all classes have the same, roughly the same combat speed in terms of the gameplay mechanics. Take a detachment of soldiers, Boris. Take a detachment of soldiers south and destroy the bridge that leads into the swamp. Our employer believes that a few legionnaires may have survived our attack on the Montbarron state, and she wants to be sure that they do not escape the bully. Surprise, we escaped the bully. Okay. Yeah, in terms of the lore, consider that the company that developed this game was completely different. Dungeon Siege 3 was developed 10 years after the second one. It was developed by Obsidian instead of Gas Powered Games. However, we can see that they kept Chris Taylor as a consultant when they developed the game, because they completely respected the legacy of the Dungeon Siege franchise. I would say that this game not only respected it, it expanded upon that legacy, because the lore in this game is even more complete than in Dungeon Siege 1 and 2. Let's get to the next quest. We have plenty of quests. We'll do all of the side quests of this area, and then next time we'll proceed with the main story quest. Pretty much. Fishing hole, we already know. Prize possession, let's see if it's over here, more or less. Yeah. Ah, purchase proficiencies, true. This one is single target. It's not my cup of tea in this case for now, because you'll be facing bosses. Probably I'm doing it wrong, because this I don't know how to cast my spell. So more damage. Let's go straight for damage. Yep. As you can see, money in this game does play a role. In that sense, the economics, the economy, sorry, the economy of this game, and how you manage the economy is much more tight than Diablo 3. That's something like Diablo 3, for example. Will affects the ability damage. Taking 3 additional damage per rank. This one boosts my single target attack. We might need this one in the future, but for now, yeah. Tropic Mastery, Black Clockwork Trap. I know this one is for the ability. Losing 3 attack power per rank. We'll go straight for money. For now, money rules. Money rules the world, people. Then we can respec. Yeah. Okay. I probably shouldn't be heading in here, but well. There we can save. Remember, it's important to save. If you get killed, you have to restart. Nothing to see here. This must be the Pilgrims Road. Where am I getting into? We might get killed. See the attention to detail. These are not leaves. See that there's kind of like small butterflies there. They could have gone for leaves straight up for the whole place, but no. Can I enter this? No. No. You need to follow kind of like. Let's do the other quest. Anyways, they are easy to follow. We could try killing that creature from the lake. Something like that. Also, the detection range of the enemies is pretty amazing. Because, as you could see, when we tried to kill that creature of the lake, it actually fell back. It retreated. Hey, more Lescancy mercenaries? No, what's this guy? Ah, the caravan guy that I saved. Okay. The game features an old school save system. As for the rest, as you can see, pretty much. Here you cannot walk for some reason, but hey, these were random. These weren't here last time. Oh, interesting. Yeah, pretty much there's no incentive to change stances. And you can do that. Yeah, they're random. What am I doing? I wonder if the other clock tower, if the other clock trap still there. Yeah, it's still there. And there we go. Pretty interesting. Yeah, it will all come down to the controls. Very good. It will all come down to the controls. If the controls are somehow bearable for you, the game is amazing. The problem are the controls. Or the problem is the controls. The control of the game, pretty much. Damn, those were random. Random encounters, good. I wonder if enemies respawn or when you quit the game and restart. It should be like that. That would add a lot of replayability to the game. Nope. Here, nope. They're already dead, good. Yeah, it looks like they respawned. It looks like they were random. Let's see. I feel tempted to save again. Ah, there's one. Remember to save every time you move in this game. Then otherwise you'll regret it, trust me. Yep, they respawn. Good. That will add a lot of replayability and will allow us to farm. Nice animation. Okay. Hey, I think our objective is over there. Well, no, that's actually the pond. Ah, you are still there. Can I create a second one? Damn it. That's a lot of damage. Alright. Slow down. That's a lot of damage. Definitely this quest will be the last that we'll do. How do I check my quests? Ah. Oh, look at that. You can control that. Raven's Hill. We had another quest. Quest? Fishing hole, no. Prize position, precisely. We're following it. Alright, alright. Let's get the extra experience from this. How much money do we have? Can we improve our gear somehow? Money, money, money. 657. Not enough yet.
Is it done? Has the Lasconzi dog been put down?
Yes, ma'am.
He's dead. I hope you can find some measure of peace.
The peace I sought was not for me. With his death avenged, Vaclav's soul will find its way to the river. There exists a debt between us now, Legionnaire. One of blood and kin. What can an old woman do to repay such a debt?
I am looking for Lazar.
I need to know where I can find Lazar Basili.
Ah, Lazar. Haven't seen him since the Lascanzi arrived. He may be dead, but Grigori would know for certain. Those two are thick as thieves.
No reward is
Killing
needed.
a man is not worthy of reward, even a cur such as Boris. Keep your belongings, Ludmila.
Such nobility in these troubled times? I'll not argue with your choosing, but know this. Ludmilla will always consider you as kin.
I must go.
Farewell.
Magnificent. XP awarded. Magnificent. Widow's Revenge. Magnificent. While I need the money, and I didn't accept it, the idea is that we're the Legion people. And we should be honorable. We should help people out of goodwill. And look at this anyways. We have the shoes here. Will be. Fortune will favor us. Eventually. With the loot. Armor. And attack. Magnificent. This one's pretty good. Armor. Good. Fortune will favor us for being honorable. It's the right thing to do, people. Alright, now we can talk to Grigori, I believe. But let's do the other side quest. Then. Fortune will favor the honorable. Not the bold. The honorable. Fortune favors honorable people. Besides, we are the Legion people. We are the Legion guys. We need to behave in an honorable way. Come on. Okay. Here I can walk. For some reason you cannot walk in the first section of the game. They disable it because it's the introduction. The particles, everything as well. We've already covered the graphical aspect, everything. What happens if I... What are you doing, please? Ah, right, the other one. And I don't have enough. Ah, but I have this one. Good. Good. Welcome to Raven's Hill. No, but we need to go over there. Okay. As long as we face Lascanzi mercenaries, we're good to go. There they are. Nope. Oof. I think I healed myself. I think I used my ability. Yep, I learned how to use my ability. Good. Can I use it again? Ah, I need to wait for the focus. Alright, so you can use the focus for both. Alright, and here I can... You can use the focus both for an enhanced attack or... Okay. No, not the focus, the other one. I wonder if that thing is going to recover health. Alright, the damage over time killed him. Nice. Very good fight. What the? Come on, if we get killed, the boss will not record. There we go. Alright, and now I use it, okay, in order to heal myself. Okay, you can use it to enhance your attacks or use your blocking ability. Okay. I get this. I get the point now. I get the point. Nice smoke. And now I cannot use it because it uses... Okay, it uses the focus orb down there. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we have two resources. One is focus, mana, the blue bar down there. And the other one, this one, which allows me to... The thing is that there's no animation. Right. I mean, the problem is that it takes some time to cast that clockwork trap. Okay. Let's see if we can kill the creature of the swamp over there. Okay. Oh, almost 3 hours, damn it. We'll do that last quest and call it a day, I guess. Okay.
I hope you have news. Did you find my statue?
Yes.
Indeed. I believe this belongs to you.
Yes, fine,
Excellent.
sir.
You've renewed my faith in the Legion, to be sure. This is the part where you ask for a reward, yes?
No reward is necessary.
Once today, Anton. I'm not going to make you pay for your own property.
Well spoken. I would have taken the gold, but perhaps that is why I'm not a Legionnaire.
Exactly, that sets the difference between you and us.
And a good day to you, Legionnaire.
That's why we are the Legionnaires. We serve the king. We only serve the king. For king and country, not gold. Alright, let's see. Luckily I picked the numismatics talent. I don't know if there's a reward for doing what I'm doing, but I don't give a shit. It makes the game more difficult also. If it makes the game more difficult, better for me. Anything that makes the game more difficult, better for me. It's adding replay value. There we go. There we have a better headband finally. Hands of Resolve, pretty good. Anything that makes what? Ah, I already have this. Ah, no. Good. Anything that makes the game more difficult, even more difficult, is better. What a masochist I am. Oh. That's how I like to play. No, this is for... Right now we don't have any companions. So everything... wasn't there kind of like a blue... Well, I lost it. I lost the blue... The TL quality blues. Helmet of Rage. Armor, attack, block. I don't care about that. Lascancy Luck Fetish. No. Nerf Quickness. This. No. That already bought it. I think I don't. Let's see what was the worst part of my equipment. The worst piece of equipment I have. I think the globes, right? The globes are pretty terrible. I think I don't use globes. Careful. I think I don't use globes. Ah, because I used the dynamo. Ah, I think I don't use globes altogether, people. Globes. I think I don't use this. I think I use this. Ah, okay. Yep. I shouldn't use that. I was about to make a huge mistake. Doom, attack, chaos lightning. This shit. This will affect. Anyways, even if I'm not doing if I'm not performing individual attacks, the bonus it's still applied. Doom. I wonder what Doom does. Blood 16 Doom. So what do we have? Wait. Anyways, it's the last. I don't. We're already good. A ring and an amulet, perhaps. There are no rings here. There's nothing. I cannot. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. This one, perhaps. Perhaps this one. But we'll lose the lining. But this one, Chaos Fire. Wasn't needed as well. Perhaps the belt. Perhaps the belt. Yep, I needed that. I feel stupid. Yeah, I needed that. Well, but at least our single target attacks will be decent. Yeah, pretty much. Let's see if we can finish that last side quest. There we go. Talk to Gregory. Alright. The fishing hole. Let's get back there. I also want to see if the mercs, if the Lascansi mercenaries respawned. Yes. See if I can kill that creature, otherwise we can do some random farming. Oh. That wasn't my brightest idea. Let's see if that Doom... Yeah, that Doom worked. Ah, the attacks are faster like this. Let's see. You are taking damage and I'm healing myself. Look at that. Now let's see if I can... I hope that worked. Now I should be healing. He's taking damage. No, but look at that. He's on fire. Oh boy. It's difficult to target. See, this is the problem with the... Oof. There we go. See, this is the problem with the controls that everyone was talking about. Sometimes it's difficult to target. I don't know if it's worse with the mouse and keyboard, but we'll... Not bad. I've seen worse. I've seen worse controls. Armor. Agility, stamina. Ah, yeah, it increases the armor. I don't care about agility and stamina. Stamina are hit points, right? 20 hit points, that's nothing. I'd rather have a better armor. Hey, look at that. Now our armor changed. Look at that. Now it changed. Interesting. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is it for today. 3 hours. We covered the intro, the whole history of Dungeon Siege 3. We covered pretty much everything. We explored the gameplay mechanics. We explored the gameplay mechanics. We'll turn in the quest and save. I don't think I'll be that unlucky as to not be able to save afterwards. We covered pretty much everything. The graphical presentation. It was a nice first stream. I don't know, the fisherman. Look at that, our robes, our clothes finally changed. Oh, good. Yeah, we could see the problems with the... Oh, look at that. We could see the problems with the control system, but well.
Maybe you're tougher than you look. Is the lousy beast dead?
It's dead. Here's one of its teeth.
Well, call me a crug-loving mule. I can't believe it. I'm guessing you'll be wanting that reward then.
Not
You
necessary.
obviously need the coin, Jakob. I only ask you speak kindly of the Legion in the future.
Uh-huh.
Truly? Maybe you Legionnaires aren't so bad after all. You and me should go fishing sometime.
Sure.
I'll leave you to your work.
Right.
Ah, you can do that
See you
during
around.
cinematics. Alright, people. Pretty swift. Pretty good. Was a nice first stream of the game. As you can see. Yes. 2023. August 15. Pretty good. Amazing. Amazing, ladies and gentlemen. Amazing. Pretty good. We had a pretty amazing... Yeah, you can walk. You only cannot walk in the first zone because it's the intro. See a different sound for the steps, different sound for the mud, everything. Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Well, let me see that. Ah, yeah, here you have everything. Human form, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Yeah. Pretty good. Yes. You just need to be careful with the save system, and here you can do this. It also has an autosave system, but as you can see, it's at the beginning of the game. You pretty much want to hit continue. Excellent, people. Well, it was a nice first day of gameplay. Hope you could all enjoy it. Maybe then we can try playing with the mouse and keyboard to see if it's better. Perhaps. Anyways, the controls will feel pretty weird. It's like playing kind of like a twin stick shooter at that point. But well, pretty much we could explore everything initially, the first impressions of everything that the game has to offer. Everything that the game has to offer, pretty much. Let me turn off the Bluetooth there. So yeah, pretty much everything the game has to offer. So far so good. As I've said, the key here will be the controls. The controls, people. The controls will determine if the game does, if they are somehow good. As you could see, the rest, the lore, the graphics, everything, they're all pretty good. The controls are the key here. If the controls are bearable, they don't need to be excellent. Bearable, um, the game is amazing. If the controls end up being clumsy, like for now they're clumsy, well, it won't be a perfect game, but the rest is pretty well. And maybe next time we can try with the mouse and we can try with mouse and keyboard. Yeah, pretty much. I know, but the problem there is that you control the camera with the right stick. No, that could be a problem. The attacks will be a bit more precise, but no, it's meant to be played with a joystick because you cannot rotate the camera. No, we'll do it with the joystick now that I think of it. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, hope you enjoyed everything. This first day of analysis of Dungeon Siege 3. We did a lot of dialogues today, the intro, everything. We lost a lot of time. Next time there will be more gameplay rather than dialogues. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it's a nice addition to your library of games once we get to analyze it. And if you think the controls are shitty and it's and it's not worth it, you can enjoy the story with me as we played here. Pretty much, we're playing on hardcore difficulty. We're doing a 100% completion of the game, and also Blood Sports TV. We'll get the finale if you like MOBAs. We'll have the finale of Blood Sports TV, the Master League 3. I'll upload Master League 3 over at YouTube. And then we'll stop with Dungeon Siege 3 for a bit, and we'll do the Apocalyptics next week. On Thursday, we'll continue playing Dungeon Siege 3. We'll do the Apocalyptics next week. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been my pleasure. See you all on Thursday with more Dungeon Siege 3, and next week with the Apocalyptics, the finale of Blood Sports TV. Hope you all enjoyed it. See you all on Thursday. Between the intro with the story of the non-point and click isometric action RPG variation of the genre, with the story about Diablo and everything, and also the dialogues of the game, we lost a lot of time, but well, it's always like that. The intro and pretty much everything. Then next time we'll get straight to we'll get straight to the action because we've already been through the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, see you all next time. See you all next time, people. Have a great week.